And from a conceptual standpoint, these are low, very low profile signs. We're not asking for a variance to reach out beyond the bounds of what I would call the code. What we're asking for is to add that fourth sign at the corner. And in conjunction with this, it does tie into the residential area that is immediately to the north. So again, part of what our goal is, and I know many of the codes that are written in many of the cities are trying to get in front of the development plan as opposed to being reactionary behind the development plan, and I think that's what we're doing here.
Does the board have any questions of Mr. Addis?
I have a question, Mr. Addis. Maybe you can just clarify. You probably said this, but so what I'm hearing is that this sign plan will potentially eliminate any additional fines from individual businesses on these properties.
So in response to your question, obviously I'll answer it in two forms. And the first one is individual businesses will not be limited by what they can have as an individual business on their building.
Right.
But this does create the stamp for the center. And so I think that's what you're asking. And will that stand for the center? And absolutely it will, because that's what's been approved.
Thank you.
And again, as you know, developing, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Like this is Mr. Wildblood, if it's mentioned here, Mr. Car Wash, are they in the process, and how far along on the way do you think that this construction will start on this site?
I know that it took, I'm going to say maybe a year and a half or so to ultimately get the development plan approved. So they do have the approved development plan, and exactly when they're going to start moving dirt and when they're going to start construction, I would say probably, just because of the time frame that I'm somewhat familiar with, I bet you're looking about a year and a half before there is a significant building identified to where tenants would be moving in, just because of the time that it takes. That's what I'm thinking.
So you're just being proactive in getting these monument signs basically up, just to let people know, hey, it's basically things in the future are going to be here. Is that what the object is?
It is exactly what the object is. And one of the things that is happening, and some of this is part of, if you want to call it, the new world that we live in, we're trying to plan in advance of. And planning in advance with signs is extremely critical. And tenants want to know what they can have, what does it look like, does somebody else get more than what I get, how is it going to be divided? In our world, and I would like also Bruce to speak to this from an architectural standpoint, because when it is set in advance of the property being developed, it's so much easier to move the property forward, move the leases forward, move the tenants forward, because this is what you see and this is what you get.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bruce.
Go ahead, Bruce.
First off, Mike, I'm a real fan of a master signage plan. I think it makes good sense. I think it makes great sense to have it be part of the development plan so that it's known right from the first. I think it makes sense also architecturally speaking that there be a theme established that I would anticipate would also be similar to the architectural theme for the commercial buildings. I don't know if that's the case here or not, but I would certainly encourage that. We don't have to. We don't have any authority to say that it has to be that way, but I do like the idea of it being a unified presentation. The one thing that I do question, I see what looks like on the site plan. It appears that there is room for, on block 2 and block 3, it appears there's room for a couple, maybe three commercial buildings, or maybe more, I guess, with some tenants inside. The sign looks like there's plans for 6 different panels. So my question then would be, is it the intent that all 3 of these signs with their 6 panels, all those panels are going to be the same on panel A, B, and C? Because that's how many, it's going to reinforce the same thing? Or are we going to have 6 different users for A and 6 different users for C and 6 different users for B, and as a result create some degree of confusion?
I'm not fully aware of how the panels would break out other than what we have as far as the layout for them. Now, obviously, panel A and panel B, sign A and sign B, may end up being loaded differently based on proximity of the tenants that are in that particular area. And of course, sign C is a single-sided sign that is the identifiable corner sign. But in response to your question, I am not fully aware of what the breakout would be, and I apologize for not having that information.
Okay, well, I would expect that for overall clarity and lack of confusion for the traveling public, that some consistency ought to be there with A, B, and C. If C is showing different things than A and different than B, people are going to say, well, gee, I looked at C and that's what I got, and I get over to B and it's not there. I get over to A and it's not there. So I think there needs to be some degree of consistency in what they're identifying. If we're going to put in an extra sign, it's got to clarify rather than confuse the issue.
Yes, I agree with you. I know the signs are laid out consistently. I just am not able to immediately answer as far as the final intentions of property development, whether that means they are consistent in all of the tenant allocation.
Okay, well,
I agree
Another thing I'd like to suggest that I think is really great. I love the fact that that the signage includes the address in bold, large numbers, so it's very easy to see. The fire department can find it easily. The Hillcrest Apartments, I'm almost tempted to think that they have a different address, but maybe, is it your intent that all 4 of these signs have the same address? Or is that just an architectural, is that just a rendering approach?
The 3 signs that would be dedicated to the shopping center, the intent is that they would have the same address. The Hillcrest Apartments, as designated, will probably have a different form of addressing, and so that is just a placeholder.
okay, thank you very much, Mike.
Yes.
Mike, this is Mr. Wildblood again. I kind of second Mr. Cole's aspect about the identification and being proactive on this aspect, because as long as you have those various individual signs within the monument itself, boy, that eliminates a lot of argument for people too. We've had that before, if I remember correctly. My sign isn't as big as his type routine, so it looks like they'll all be about the same.
Yes, that is correct. And the nice thing too is that, again, you hit the nail on the head. When you establish this on the upfront, it makes it so much easier to deal with leases and to deal with the tenants because it takes all the ambiguity out.
Yes.
One quick question, and that is this center named? Does this have, I mean, I see it's got an address, but is this named center? Is this the Addis Signs Convention Center? What is this? Is this center named?
So far, and it's kind of funny that you bring that up because one of the first questions out of the gate, and matter of fact, some of our early designs have the name of the center on there. And so we went back and forth, and the people that are doing the development, said, you know, I don't think the name of the center, I mean, who knows it's a Pima Center that's located at Ina and Thornydale on that southeast corner where Burger King, El Pollo and Igi's and Michael's and El Monolito, who knows that's the name of the center? And it's like, so what's happened, again, is the address is in a very predominant position, and part of that is because obviously you can get into it from Thornydale, but the address, and also you can get into it from the other street, which is south, which is Cortero. So the concept was address first, and the name is expendable.
Okay, thank you.
Mike,
Now, there is
one more question from Mr. Wildblood. What is the lighting situation on these signs?
The lighting situation for the apartment is halo illumination for the Hillcrest. The lighting situation for the tenants would be through the face lighting.
Okay.
And one point on the, or I was just going to say on the apartment complex, I know we called it out as a single-sided sign, and it will probably be double-sided. Originally, they were thinking that it would be single-sided, but I'm thinking that it works better to be double-sided. Obviously, that entrance is going to be one of the major entrances to the apartment complex, so it did not get updated on the drawings.
And so then are you asking that be specifically addressed as a part of the motion, that it be double-sided or allowed double-sided? Or is it
again, I would allude to staff and see if that needs.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, board members, the code allows signs to be double-sided, so no need to address. The only thing you would have to do is condition it if you only wanted it to be on one side.
Okay. So the fact that he's presented drawings that only show it on one side, we probably should clarify in the motion if it is a motion to approve, it's a motion to deny, then it's not even an issue.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do any of the other board members have questions of Mr. Addis? Is there anybody on the line at this point in time to go against or be against this variance or this request? That being said, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Seconded?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Board members, what is your discussion?
Well, I like the
Richard?
idea.
Go ahead.
Sorry, this is Bruce. I like the idea of having a master sign plan, identifying an image for the entire subdivision. It's 8 acres in size, so it's pretty good sized. And so the idea of having some harmony in the way that that's done, I'm in favor of that. In general, I think the sign's a nice looking sign. It emphasizes the address well. And so that's my general sentiment. If this were naming the subdivision and naming the commercial center, my sentiment would probably be that the sign C should be the commercial center sign, whereas A and B would be signs that would identify the individual tenants. They've not requested this, and they want to be able to identify tenants at all of the sites. So I don't know that I really object, but I think I like my idea of having it a named, recognized center with a center designation, and then it wouldn't even require a variance, I don't think, from what I understood from Tom. But that wasn't their request, so we have to address their request.
Yes. Mr. Green, you have any comments?
I do. I think Mike should savor the moment, because I actually appreciate the logic and the need for that sign C from a simple point of view of visibility from the south and the east when you're approaching, because the signs at the moment are set up for people approaching from north and from west, and otherwise you're past the center. So that it does make sense to me that you need something on that corner. I would put in my usual request as a condition that the internal signs be dark background with light letters.
Mr. Chair, this is Tom Dreskowski. I think that condition is really good to add. It makes it crystal clear, and it helps when we get complaints about signs that are too bright. We have something to point back to, even though it's already the rule. Adding the condition is always appropriate.
Very good. Ms. Valentine, do you have anything, comment?
Only that I agree with the comments made so far.
Good. Well, my feeling is exactly the same as some of the other people. I think it's very good to be proactive. I certainly see the benefits of having this up, both to let the neighborhood know that, hey, something is in the works here, and also to help the tenants essentially getting some recognition and knowing what they're going to get in advance. So, with that being said, if there's no more comments, I'd entertain a motion by somebody, and Mr. Green, maybe it's your turn to make the motion.
All right. I move that we approve case P22VA 00006. Sorry, get to the top of this. Fidelity National Title Agency, Inc. For the addition of a fourth sign on the development property as proposed, with the condition that the internally illuminated sign have light letters on a dark background.
Seconded?
It's been moved and seconded. to approve with the conditions? And if you would the secretary do a roll call vote for us, please?
Mr. Green,
Approve?
Miss Ballantyne,
Approved.
Mr. Call,
Approve?
Chair Wildblood.
Approved.
The motion to approve is passed 4-0.
Very good. That closes the regular portion of the meeting. Is there anything in the future from staff as to what,
There's actually another agenda item, which is discussion and update to the in-person / hybrid meetings.
would you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, so there's another item, item number 5, and it's a discussion and update to in-person / hybrid meetings because the Board of Supervisors decided to go back to in-person meetings, and the Plan Commission this month was talking about whether or not they should provide in-person meetings or do a hybrid meetings. So I just added this to agenda to see if all of you had an opinion on whether or not we should do any in-person meetings or do a hybrid or keep it all on the phone.
I didn't see that on the agenda, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, board. I'm gonna jump off.
Could I ask a quick question? Have there been any concerns about the hybrid nature expressed to staff?
I think that they're trying to work out, Tom is working it out if anyone wants to come in person for the planning and zoning commission meetings, because they're not exactly sure on what the setup would be if some board members decided to come in person and then some board members were on the phone, and if anyone was there in person, how they would participate. So I think they're still looking into the hybrid format to see what issues there would be.
I personally would rather postpone until those issues have been resolved or determined. I think it creates a new complexity that may cause more hiccups for approvals or denials when we're not quite sure who's going to be there and who's on the phone, and et cetera.
This is Mr. Wildblood. My only feeling is that in-person meetings gives you some sense of direction when you look at the people actually making their comments, both the applicants or people that are disagreeing or even board members. You get a sense of what is really there. You don't oftentimes get that when you're on the phone. But I would agree with it's either all or none. Either we all attend or we all stay on the phones. And for the time being, I don't have any great problems staying with just being on the phone until people are more comfortable doing those in-person meetings. That's my only feeling. I would lean towards the in-person or the personal meetings, but we can still do business over the phone. My comment.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bruce. I agree with you. I think it really, our representative democracy, I believe, is intended to be a personal one, not one that is online. Although it's certainly very convenient to be able to just call in and whatnot. But I'm of the opinion that returning to personal meetings is not only a good thing for our representative democracy, but also it's a message to the people in general, at least from our point of view, that we are not being held hostage by a virus, or at least the fear of a virus. And so I think I'm leaning more towards having the public meeting with in-person meetings. I think that's my sentiment anyway.
And looking at the facility that we have the meetings in, which is the same as the Board of Supervisors, compared to the old meeting areas that we had in the basement over there, there's certainly room for separation. And I agree with you, Mr. Call. I would prefer the in-person meetings. I think Mr. Green has checked off.
No, I'm here.
Thought I heard you.
No, somebody did, but it was not, I think that was Mike, maybe. And so I have two opinions. One is, I have absolutely no objection to participating in meetings in person, and I think it's entirely up to the chair as to the formats in which he or she is willing to conduct the meeting these days. So if the chair's comfort level is either pure phone or pure in person, we need to respect that. That's my opinion.
Well, that was great. That means it throws it right back in your lap, Lynn. You're right.
Well, in that case, let it be known. No, we still need Vicky's comment about this too. Vicky.
Well, my comment was, what I don't know is how you have handled, when you were back in person, were board members calling in and participating remotely prior to the pandemic?
We have in the past, when certain board members were necessary to reach a quorum, they had been pulled in on the phone. Yes,
okay.
It can be done. If we need a quorum.
I have no problem with in-person meetings, but I would like to be able to. There are times when on Mondays I'm in another place and I would want to call in, but I would enjoy in person. And frankly, I agree with all the comments in terms of the participation of the public as well as being a board member and knowing who you all are.
Yeah, it'd be nice to put a face with the names. Exactly.
Well, if staff is still on the handle there, I would approve or lean towards personal meetings with the option of being able to do a call-in if necessary or required.
Okay.
Does that go along with everybody else's feeling?
Great.
One thing I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that if when this decision is finalized, that it be finalized in time for us to know so we can plan accordingly as well.
That would be good too. Well, I'm sure staff would know far enough in advance. And Lauren has done a nice job since she has taken over that responsibility. She's done a very nice job of keeping all of us informed well in advance. So I appreciate that very much, Lauren.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Chair?
Sorry, go ahead.
So, I was going to say the one detail that you may wish to consider, given these times, is whether, like neighborhood members who have health concerns could be allowed to phone in. You don't really want applicants there in person, but the question is, will you take comments from the public from people who are reluctant to come in person?
No.
It's an interesting thought, but at the same time, if someone has a health issue, they could certainly request and have a proxy speak on their behalf, or someone, again, I keep going back to the whole notion that we're not a virtual society, we're a real hands-on, face-to-face, living democratic society, and I prefer, like Chairman Wildblood has said, that it was intended that these be in-person meetings, and I think that is the appropriate approach.
And I guess I would also add that people can also, as has always been the case, can send in their concerns via email or letters or whatever.
That's correct. And also, if you remember, when the last time that we had a in-face meeting where we had plexiglass put up and it looked like we were taking orders at McDonald's or something, I don't know. But you remember they had that big screen set up. It was a different environment. So, but again, there's ways around all of this stuff for people to get their comments to the board and to have them expressed. So I'm still in favor of personal meetings. Right, Lauren, do you need anything else? If that's the final agenda meeting, I think you get the gist that everybody would appreciate personal meetings, but have the option to do a call-in as required or necessary.
Okay, yeah, I got that. Yeah, because we don't have anything scheduled next month yet.
Okay, well, you'll keep us informed.
Yes.
One of the things that I would ask of the board members is to get Lauren your correct phone numbers and email addresses. There's been some confusion, and like me, I have two phone numbers. I have a cell phone and I have my regular home phone. But if you would give updated cell phone, home phone, and email addresses to Lauren, if you would, please. Other than that, is there any other comments by board members? If not,
I move to adjourn.
Oh, Bruce, you're good. I'll second that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.